Hello and welcome to the Footy Philosophy Podcast. I am Kevin, the host today, and with Brendan as always. We are starting off with quite a serious topic over the weekend, which was a jam-packed weekend. Mike Maignan, keeper for AC Milan, received some heavy racial abuse from Udinese fans, and he walked off the pitch with a few other players, and eventually they did return and finish the game, but this is a problem we continue to see. And for some of Mike Mannion, one of the best goalies in the world, I think he's France's number one now.
Yes.
Um, and, Vinicius Jr., which we'll touch on as well. It's not as if, not that this really justifies anything, but these players are good and they still get abused. Destiny Udogie for Spurs has been abused this season, constantly. Heung-min Son as well. It's something that we need to kick out of the game. Hence that, the organization kick it out. We needed to talk about it. Everyone needs to be made aware. And I don't know, what do you think here? Because Vinicius was abused by Atleti fans. It's something that you just
Again,
come to expect at this point, which makes it all the more sad.
it's a Madrid derby just basis when we go to the Metropolitano, which is sickening when you think about it. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy that Mike Mingin and the rest of the AC Milan players walked off. And you know what they should have done? They shouldn't have returned. Honestly, they shouldn't have. They should have stayed off. This is something that I've been telling. Honestly, as a Real Madrid fan, I don't give a fuck if we drop points. Like if they're like return and our guys are like, no.
Yeah.
I'd rather stand up for what's right than and lose a couple points because guess what? Everyone's gonna be like La Liga, like you guys are fucked because everyone's gonna see the situation for what it is. Um, AC Milan were up 1-0 when that happened, so imagine they refused to go on and they were up 1-0 and they're like, the league's like, you need to play. They shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And this isn't gonna change until you start affecting it what matters to people. Kev, and what matters to these clubs the most?
What matters to them the most?
Yes, what
Money.
would you think? Yes, money, exactly. So guess what? You find them. Or guess what? You take off point deductions. Or guess what? You give them a loss. You stop this. And you know what? Real Madrid fans for a long time were really bad. The Ultrasurs were really bad, just to tie this into my experience. And Florentino Perez banned them from the stadium. And guess what? The Santiago Bernabéu is not as hostile as it used to be. But guess what? It's a safer environment for family. It's a safer environment for kids. It's a more family-friendly environment. It's somewhere where you're gonna be treated with respect. And there's not, and you know what? The fans are still good though. That's the thing. Like, just because you kick out these bad, extremist groups, which Atletico refuses to do, which are the people who continue to racially abuse Vinicius. And it's just, that's all I'm really, you just got to hit them where it matters, man. Start taking away points. You know what they should do? Okay, you guys lose, no fans for a game.
Yeah.
The fans will stop. Or
Yeah.
here's you guys, every time you do it, you lose a point. And the second time you do it, it's 2 points. And the third time you do it, it's 3 points. And just keep adding on. Like, hit them where it matters. Because trust me, these clubs, when you start fucking with their money, they're gonna stop.
Yeah. For sure. And we need to see the leagues take more drastic measures. Even in a
Hmm.
league that's the Premier League, that's a bit more progressive, so to speak. It still
Definitely
happens.
more progressive than the other leagues.
Yeah.
Like, they get on a knee. No other league does that. So
Right. Right. And it still happens. And we see international matches take place behind closed doors all the time. When it's two countries that don't really like each other, we see teams play against with no fans quite a bit. At this at this point when you have players who before the game now need to really think about, what's going to happen. Am I going to, and am I going to be mistreated by fans when I'm coming to perform for them? Yes, I'm making lots of money, but I'm coming to perform for the fans, put on a show to some degree. I don't know. It really is disgusting. And
There's no place in the game.
no, absolutely not.
That especially a game that's worldwide and is super inclusive of all, at the end of the day, all that matters is if you have talent. Nobody cares what skin color you are, no one cares what religion you support, nobody cares what political views you have, nobody cares who you voted for. At the end of the day, all we want to do is be entertained and support our players who play for our club. We have
Yeah.
we have a handful of Muslims on the team. We have a handful of white players. We have Germans. We have Croatians. We have Brazilians. Um, Courtois from Belgium. Like it's a little melting pot of the team. You got a Jewish player. You have Catholics. You have Muslims. You have Christians, and that's the game now. And so everyone should take a stand because what if Danny Carvajal started getting called names because he was Jewish, or what if Rudiger was called names because he's Muslim, or Rodrigo was called names because he's Christian? Like anything. It just it just needs to stop, and it's just it's disgusting for the game. That's all.
For sure. I
I
think,
hate to make this a somber, sad start, but it needs to be
yes.
talked about, and it needs to be talked about seriously.
No, definitely. And, the more, even the smallest soccer podcasts, bringing it to attention, I think does some good. And, you know, especially when it comes to younger kids, we need to really instruct them, I feel. And that's a way to eventually uh, get rid of things. But speaking of teaching people things, no, that was not a very good transition. But
Well,
Newcastle,
can I say one thing, Kev?
yes,
It's the mob mentality. Like I don't genuinely think these people are like inherently racist or anything, or it might just be one or two people and the other people are just like F you, maybe calling some not a slur, but like a bitch or like puta or something, but it's the handful of people that use that are calling Vinny a monkey, or they were chanting that outside the stadium. And I didn't mean to kill your transition, but it's
no,
it's
you're
a
fine.
mob mentality, you know what I mean? Like I don't think all these people are inherently racist, that even if they are saying it, I just think they're getting whipped up into it. It's real easy to do stuff when everyone around you is doing it and you can kind of get lost in the crowd. And that's not me defending them either. But, you know, sometimes someone's got to sit, there are things that I see happening sometimes in my life. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, that shit's fucked up. Like, and I don't join in and I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, I don't know how there's not more people like that to, play devil's advocate to what I just said.
Yeah, no,
But
that's a
you
good
you know,
point.
you probably get a couple drinks in you. You know how Europeans are. They like to drink, they like to booze. The Hawaiians, the Italians love their wine. They're probably a little. And I'm not trying to make an excuse, but it's really easy to get involved into stuff and make bad decisions when everyone around you is making bad decisions.
Yeah, it's a very human problem that, it's almost like the middle school lunchroom to some extent. And
Exactly. That's exactly where my head went.
yeah, and like you said, you kind of hope for, some sort of positive reinforcement when it comes to people sticking up for what's right. And leave all that out. If you're a Spanish nationalist and you're an Atletico Madrid fan and you genuinely only want Spanish people in your country, you have every right to believe this. But when it comes to football, it has no place there. you know
Well, and you don't need to racially abuse someone just because you feel some way. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly.
Like you can, like, like you can dislike what's going on in Palestine/Israel right now, and but it doesn't mean that you should treat either a Muslim or a Jewish person any differently just because you don't like what's happening over there, no matter what side you're on. It's just that stuff. Maybe I'm crazy here, and then we can move on. But that stuff doesn't make sense in my head. You know what I mean? Like, just because you're a part of something doesn't mean you're just inherently a bad person.
I agree with you, and yeah, I think we did summarize that pretty well. Um, Newcastle are in some serious trouble,
It
most likely.
seems.
It
It
seems
seems.
they've had some financial fair play breaches, looking to move players on like Kieran Trippier, which would be a big loss. Callum Wilson, Miguel Almiron. I've just we were briefing right before this. I just saw that Newcastle are most likely to move Miguel Almiron over to Saudi. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much like Saudi Arabia sending a player, to Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia owns Newcastle, and Newcastle are going to have ways to work their way around lots of these issues. And I just think that's worth mentioning because I don't know. It's just like a Saudi club's going to buy Miguel Almiron, but it's going to go into Newcastle's, coffers. It's really, really weird. And I don't think the Premier League should have allowed for this takeover to happen,
I don't
personally.
think they should have allowed for any of the takeovers to happen the way they did. I don't think a country should be able to own a team. Let's just put it that way. And whether it's not a country or whatever it is, I don't think a government official or anyone involved with any sort of national government should be able to own a team. Let's just put it that way. Um, and we don't actually know if there are FFP breaches here. We're assuming based on the rumors, and we're assuming based on what we've heard around. There's been rumors that they are in trouble with FFP, and they've had to, because didn't they spend a lot this summer?
Yeah, they
They
reported.
reinforced the squad pretty well, right?
Yeah, and they reported a 75 million pound loss last fiscal year as well.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Um, and so they put a loss, and then they go and spend a lot of money, which means they'll probably be at a loss this year, and they probably need to straighten out their books. And I'm assuming they thought, let's go buy Tonali for what they spend, like 75 on him.
yeah, he was pretty expensive. I'm not sure the exact
Great
figure.
player. I
Yeah,
mean, worth the price. But he's gone now because of gambling issues.
yeah.
And you have interest in Callum Wilson from Atletico Madrid, Miguel Almiron from Saudi, and Kieran Trippier. Tuchel has wanted him, and they said they're not selling any of them, but they're open to sales. So I think Trippier got like 12 for Callum Wilson. They just said no, they don't want to loan, they want to sell. Then it's just kind of weird from a squad that is really injured right now and not that deep, and they probably need European football next year, and it's not looking good, and you're just openly selling players.
It's not favorable. Can I
No,
interject? I'm just scrolling here while you know you're talking. Gary Neville is saying that Newcastle should be able to spend. He's saying that FFP is protecting the elite clubs only, and this is a very confusing take, personally. Um,
I think he's ill-informed on what FFP is.
yes, and also if you're worried about the elite clubs, not really having to deal with these issues, you need to be talking about Everton and Nottingham Forest, not Newcastle. Um, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to mention that real quick. That's a whack opinion.
Well, and FFP are there to protect the old clubs because you can only spend what you bring in, but also Newcastle, much like Man City, have done some shady dealings where I'm pretty sure, did I mention to you, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about the shirt sale, the shirt sponsor on the front of the jersey. It's valued way higher than it should be. And they got a nice chunk of money from the Saudi division of entertainment or something. is it's like an entertainment company, is like where this Fly Emirates is. It's an
Yeah.
entertainment company from Saudi. So the Saudi government is now paying themselves. Dude, I thought I heard 500 mil for the jerseys, the sponsorship. I don't know if that's a decent number, if that's rounded. I don't want to. I'm just saying I heard that. I don't know if that's right. That sounds off to me, but it also sounds like what Man City did, because Man City did that with their jersey sponsors. Um, but yeah, and those things are going to come to bite you in the ass. History does repeat itself, and after, I think probably after Everton got in trouble, all these Man City, all these EPL clubs kind of straightened up a little bit and were like, their ears were perked, like they were looking around, listening, like, okay, something might be happening here. We might be in trouble. And you and I have talked about this off air. I don't know if we've mentioned it on air, but this bubble for these EPL clubs is going to burst real soon, because they're all spending money they don't have, because they spend money based on what they believe they're going to have soon, and these projections are, I'm sorry, are wrong sometimes. And Barcelona did this last year. Even beyond the levers, when you looked at their annual budget, they predicted a La Liga, they predicted like a UCL semifinal, and I'm pretty sure they've gotten to Europa last year. So there goes all that money that you projected to have. And you're talking, that's a nice chunk of change. So, they probably predicted to top their group. It's not really smart for a company that's not really doing that well. And I think that's kind of what's happened with Newcastle. And Newcastle's trying to right some of those wrongs if they do move these players on. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's very strange indeed. I This is something to keep our eyes on as we gain more information. Um, but definitely worth mentioning here. Well, heading into on the pitch stuff. That's enough off the pitch stuff. Um, Starting off with Supercoppa Italia, the semifinals occurred in between our episodes here. So just very quickly, Napoli beat Fiorentina 3-0 and Inter beat Lazio 3-0 with Alessio Zerbin scoring two off the bench in the 82nd minute. Academy grad, you love to see it, which set up an Inter Napoli final, which happened today. Inter ended up winning 1-0 through a Lautaro Martinez goal. I didn't get to see much of this game, but congratulations to Inter.
I actually did watch the game today. It was one of the games that I had on in the background while I was doing schoolwork. So I actually watched most of the game, and particularly the end of the game, because I watched intensely from like 75 to 90, and you're just watching it. And Inter are peppering Napoli, and um, the Napoli keeper, whose name escapes me right now, it's with a P. He wears 95 because it's a weird number, like Paulini or something. Um, he is making save after save after save, and Inter are just getting so unlucky. And they're pushing. Alexis Sanchez comes on, they take out the outside back, and then Marcus Thuram comes off, and they throw on another striker, Aranovic, or something like that. I can't. I know who he
Arnautovic.
is. Yes, and so they throw in three nines. So they have Latoro, Aranovic, and Alexis Sanchez out there, who's a nine at this point in his career, and he plays as a nine for Inter, and they're pushing and they're pushing, and they get chance after chance after chance, and then just the ball falls to, it fucking figures, Lautaro Martinez, who, was there any doubt that if he got an opportunity, was he going to score? Um, what's kind of crazy is that him and Harry Kane have been like head and shoulders the best strikers in the world this season, in my opinion, and Harry Kane's getting a lot of attention, and Lautaro, because he's been doing it a couple of years now with Inter. And you and I have talked about this on this pod, that Inter just, there's something wrong there. Like
Yeah.
they win, but it's not really attractive, and they don't. Nobody really watches them, and Serie A is kind of in a bad place. But people watched Napoli last year, so it's not that. But Lautaro probably doesn't get the credit he deserves, and he just had a fantastic. He's just having a fantastic season and deserves all the praise for. I mean, him. They get rid of Onana for like 65 or whatever they made United buy him for, bringing Jan Sommer on a free. I mean, Inter's just been doing fantastic business for 10 years now, and it's no surprise that they've been a consistent. title contender for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Because they reinforced the squad really well consistently.
Yeah, they're making smart moves, even though there's such, there's challenges and difficulties to overcome with being an Italian team right now. You know,
Well, and they said they're broke like a month
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
That
So,
that Onana saved them from claiming bankruptcy.
yeah, it's so crazy to think about how Inter Milan came that close to bankruptcy. But now
After
we're
making a UCL final.
exactly, and now we're finding out, even EPL teams don't have that much money. So the whole sport's in a really weird spot. But
Except
yeah,
for La Liga clubs, they're the only ones that seem to be, and it's because they have the strict financial rules in La Liga, and so they're the only clubs that are operating at, and it kind of puts them behind. But I listened to a podcast recently with one of the owners of Cadiz, and he was talking about how they couldn't even sign someone for $1 million if they wanted to. Like that's how little money they have. But he said they've made a profit the last 5 years.
yeah,
So, they're okay, they can't sign someone for 1 million, but whatever. And he wasn't bragging, but he's like, we go punch for punch with these other clubs. He said last year we beat Burnley 2-0. Year before that we beat United 4-1, and people claim that, oh, United had their second squad in. And he was like, we had our second squad too when we beat United 4-1. Um, so point being just, you know, uh that La Liga clubs are probably going to be the only ones that are in a decent situation if the bubble does burst. Because
yeah,
remember, La Liga clubs were the ones that were in a shitty position during COVID.
yeah,
And they kind of were like no spending, like nothing. And Barcelona is really the only one that's kind of in a shitty situation.
yeah. Uh, yeah. Well, congratulations to Inter once again. Bold moves like you highlighted with Simone Inzaghi. Is that his first name?
Yes.
Um, which we've kind of mentioned, not our favorite manager, but seems to have gotten the job done today. Moving on to the Premier League, just real quick, Arsenal absolutely thrashed Crystal Palace 5-0. One of the most dominating performances in the Premier League so far this season. And I just wanted to mention this. Eberechi Eze managed to have himself a good game. The rating I saw was an 8.0 for Palace, which is really hard to pull off when you are.
Getting beat 5-0.
Yeah, he needs to leave Palace. You like to see players stick around at the clubs where they came up with. Even though he came up with QPR, you get what I'm saying. He needs to move on. He needs to learn from Wilfred Zaha and go to a big club.
Yeah. God.
Just saying, he should come to Spurs. That's all I'm saying.
Zaha was pretty happy at Crystal Palace though.
He was, but
Well,
he
because he didn't make it at United.
he didn't make it at United, but he
But
also
I don't know why.
had them in a position where he got lots and lots of money. Anyways, and the fans loved him. The fans absolutely
Oh, I
loved him.
mean, he was in a good situation. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. Moving on. Speaking of a guy that has been in a weird situation, Ivan Toney
The
returns
goat.
and
The goat.
scores. Yeah, he scores in 19 minutes from a free kick as Brentford beat Nottingham Forest 3-2, and the XG
Did
was
you see
pretty
people
even.
complaining? Did you see people complaining because he moved the ball like 2 inches to the right?
Oh no, that's
Shut up!
ridiculous.
Shut up!
Yeah,
Shut up, dude! If the ref doesn't do anything, then the ref doesn't care. And you know what? How many times do we see a free kick not taken where it actually was?
yeah, plenty.
So if it was all the way down the field, would anyone give a crap? No. So either be that's my thing. Either be strict with the rules or don't be strict with the rules.
Yeah,
But Ivan Toney, dude, such a baller. I'm so happy to see him back. I'm such a fan.
yeah,
Um, After Jamie Vardy, kind of, when you kind of knew he was going down, uh, he kind of became like my new striker that I'm like, yeah, I love this guy because I'm a
yeah,
big Jamie Vardy supporter. So
yeah. Sort of a not necessarily a shit house kind of guy, but also kind of a shit house kind of guy.
just a great striker though. Like,
Yeah, he constantly outperforms his XG, which we've seen Brentford struggle with this in his absence, where there's some games where they're putting up good XG, but they're not converting the chances. So definitely expect Brentford to kind of shoot up the table here. I think they will. Um,
I think he'll give them enough juice as long as he doesn't go. And he has said that he wanted to go, but he said he's going to give it his all, whether he goes in January or at the end of the season. He's going to, you know, and
yeah, I
Brentford
don't know.
probably need to keep him till the end of the season. That should be their goal. Because with him there, they could probably jump um, currently where Chelsea, Man United, and Newcastle are. Um, because he'll give them a nice boost, just something they've been missing.
Yeah,
Because their form's been really roller coaster like, and he'll straighten that out a little bit.
yeah, without a doubt. Well, West Ham find themselves in some roller coaster form as they have no wins in 4 matches. They tie Sheffield United, bottom of the league, 2-2, and a really back and forth game. Both teams posting up over 2 xg here. Um,
Two
you know,
pens as well, I believe.
yeah, Sheffield had
Right?
the pen,
Sheffield
and
got a pen really late.
yeah, 90 plus 13. So
That's so unfortunate. You got to feel shitty. Like,
yeah, that's outrageous. So that's a priceless point for Sheffield. But the main thing here is that before this game, West Ham were knocked out by Bristol City in the FA Cup. Bristol City is a team that lost their best player from last season, Alex Scott, to Bournemouth. And here they are making a bit of a cup run by beating West Ham. And, we love to see stories like this. And let me look up very quickly who they have in the next round. I should have been prepared.
it happens. I don't know because I haven't.
They've got Nottingham Forest in the next round, so they could do it again. They could do it again.
You'd love to see it.
Yeah,
Nottingham Forest might have something to play for though if they get some points taken off them pretty
true,
soon.
true. They could get into that fuck you form like Everton did earlier.
Hopefully, Everton needs to get back into that form.
Yeah,
Maybe
they're
that's why Everton were like, hit us again. We need it.
yeah, yeah,
Please. They're
yeah.
like, give us it. We want to be in a relegation fight. We
That's exactly right. Well, Bournemouth find themselves not in a relegation fight, but if they played like this every match, they certainly would be. As
they
they,
find themselves in the fuck me form. Okay, like
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah,
Fuck.
they lost 4-0 to Liverpool. We found some discrepancies in the XG here. On Mark stats, it was 0.97 to 1.51. And then mine wasn't SofaScore, it was FOTMob, which I need to stop relying on. Um, 1.37 to 1.57. Either way, this doesn't
That's a
indicate,
big difference, though.
yeah, for sure. But either way, it doesn't indicate a 4-0 drubbing. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Um,
I mean, those goals that Liverpool scored must have been really low XGs because they had a decent amount of shots throughout the game.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
at least ones that were missing the net, too, which are still going to produce XG, though.
right.
But, that discrepancy is just something we can talk about real quick and just talk about how different XG models value different things differently. While some might take into effect or take into account if you shoot with your left foot or if it's a header or if it's from a corner or what kind of pass it is, if it takes a bounce. Some models take into account these kind of things while other models do not, which can um, affect the discrepancy between the two. As you see from the Liverpool, it's only 0.06 off, which is literally nothing, especially in the XG model. But a zero point 0.4 difference is a decent amount because you're taking away either I don't know how many shots they had, but or maybe maybe a shot happened that one said it was a shot and one said that's not a shot.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of those, or so that's where the discrepancies can come in, and it's just something that because when we're on here we talk about a lot of advanced metrics, specifically XG, XT, field tilt, that those kind of things, because or momentum bars, we talk about those as well. But it's important to understand that it's not the be all end all, but it's just an indicator, and that these indicators might be different depending on what site you look at. Like when we look at when we use Mark StatSpot, the XT might be different than what we might find somewhere else, or the field tilt might be different. But usually they're pretty similar. That's the one thing. But
Yeah. No, it's definitely this is a discrepancy, that makes it worth mentioning that these metrics aren't super objective, I would say, and each model is different. Um, so yeah, there's ways to sort of spin the narrative a little bit, but and
yeah, you could, right? Like
yeah,
you could spin a narrative. And Liverpool's actually one of those teams that because of the shots they take, um, the XG for them is usually a little off, if you know what
yeah,
I mean.
no, you're exactly right because I feel like I have seen that throughout, obviously us recording it, like the XGs that I see, and then whether you get it in the doc first or I get it in the doc first, it's like, it's actually different because Liverpool do favor long shots. Like I'm trying to find the shot map here. I don't know why I
And long
can't.
shots are not good, which is kind of weird that they do. They're not they produce very low XG, and even if you take them at a very high rate, you're not really expecting to score a lot of them or even any of them. It's a little old school when you think about it because, the long shot has essentially been eliminated in football.
Right.
Like go look at highlights from like the 90s, early 2000s, 80s, 70s, any of them. Um, and look at highlights now. Nobody takes long shots anymore. Nobody really shoots from outside the box. If they do, it's usually trying to like it's usually a curler or something.
Yeah.
Nobody really hits bangers anymore from inside the box because they produce low XG. Like the God, I was about to say Almeria. It's a fucking stupid English people bullshit. Almeria goal at the weekend against Real Madrid. Like it was a fucking banger. I looked at the XG, it was like 0.02.
Yeah.
Point zero. Yeah, like it's not a 0.02 is not a good shot. It's not worth taking. It means it goes in 2% of the time. But guess what? He got lucky. It hit that 2% of the time. He's one of the 2%. He's two
Yeah.
of 100. He's
Yeah.
20 of 1,000. Like good for him.
Yeah.
But it
That's
usually
no.
doesn't hit. So
Yeah. And when Porro hit the long shot against Burnley in the FA Cup, it's like you're right. It got me off my seat because like you don't really see it anymore. Because we've obviously been. That's one of the sort of the downsides of bringing in things like XG is like, all right, coaches are now going to instruct players this chance,
I'd rather you
mathematically.
pass it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
better for you to look for a pass in that situation than it is for you to shoot it. But, you know, it, these guys do practice this, and it's kind of crazy because when you think about it, like they're obviously the best players in the world. And to see how some of their shots come off, you're just kind of like, "Why did you do that?" But like, let's be honest, if it was 99.999% of the population, they're doing that way worse and they might be whiffing. So
yeah,
it's just kind of crazy when you think about it. That's all.
for sure, for sure.
It's a very nuanced discussion, something that
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll reference a lot.
and just before we move on off of this game, I did want to mention that I was kind of right in something that I said, so I want to kind of boost myself up here. Now that Solanke isn't firing for Bournemouth, the result on the scoreboard is not looking as good anymore. His purple patch is over and they're losing games. Even though the system's still working, like this is why you hope Bournemouth keep the manager around. I'm not going to say his name because I can never pronounce it.
Areola.
Iriola. There we go. Because like you see here, let's bring up some advanced metrics. 1.22 to 1.8 expected threat. Bournemouth were just about as threatening as Liverpool. You know what I mean? Like it's not as if we can use XT and XG. Defensive action height around the same. Field tilt 44 to 55. So yeah, Liverpool,
Yeah, but that's
control.
Liverpool's game too.
Yeah,
Bournemouth doesn't really like they want the ball, but they're not going to seek the ball. Or
right.
Liverpool are going to seek the ball. But
Yeah,
the fact that their defensive actions were the same, you know, the positioning of the defensive action were very similar. It just means that the two teams were sitting in similar blocks, which means neither team really felt uh, that they were being pushed back.
right.
Like maybe in transition, but that takes your average position, which means they kind of went punch for punch.
Right, and you see 4-0. And that's why you have to use advanced metrics because Bournemouth were fine in this game. It's just Solanke's not scoring goals anymore.
Do you happen to know what the expected points was on the game? So I'm kind of curious now that we're talking about it.
No, no,
I'm
I
gonna
don't.
look for it. I'm gonna look for it. Yeah, just push on. I got
I got you. Well, it's 11 shots to 14, and 45% of Bournemouth's shots were within the 18-yard box, 0% in the six, while Liverpool managed to find 14% in the 6-yard box. So that was the difference. Um, but yeah, I also, before we move on as well, Nunez gets to start off the left in this game, which I really like because
Mhm.
that's where he started for Benfica most of the time. Diaz on the right, and then Jota sort of playing a false nine, like way back in the day. Old school Liverpool with Firmino sitting in the false nine. And Nunez and Jota both scored 2 goals. If Klopp can find ways to start Nunez off the left, I do really like it moving forward. Um, yeah, we shall see. With Salah being injured for we don't know how long, it could be the case that this happens. Let's see, who do
The
Liverpool
attacking momentum was pretty even too, it seems. Looking at it, I'm on Opta right now.
I want to see who Liverpool play next. Liverpool have got Fulham in the EFL Cup next, so we might not see the strongest lineup as well as wow. Okay. Yeah, so we might not see Nunez off the left again for a little bit because they've got Fulham in the EFL Cup and then Norwich City in the FA Cup in their next 2 fixtures. And Salah might be back by then. So my Nunez off the left wing dream may not come to fruition. But
I mean, yeah, it might be over. Nah, just
yeah,
messing. Hopefully not.
one game and it's over with. Well, are you ready to move on in Copa del Rey?
Oh yes, so ready.
We're gonna start off with Atletico Madrid 4-2 Real Madrid. Real Madrid can't win the
Gutted,
treble, the domestic treble
gutted.
anymore. Yeah. Um.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We could have won the European treble. Come on now. We could have. It's gone though. It's sad.
But you can't get the domestic treble anymore. And
No,
I agree with your
heartbroken.
note here. I agree with your very first note here. Vinny Jr. was quite poor during the game. He was too distracted with the antics. And there's been a few Madrid derbies lately, so they kind of, you know,
Formed
meshed
together.
together. Yeah, and I did feel like Vinicius was just feeding into the antics of the game, like you said. I thought that was a very big detriment to Madrid and their ability to, you know, because the game was so back and forth, and they needed Vinicius to stretch the pitch. But
Yeah.
you've got the floor.
Yeah, so, it was I was gutted, I was at work, but me, I was just zoned. I was pissed.
Yeah,
I mean, I was really mad. After I took a step back, I really wasn't that mad, and so I'll preface what happened. You play 120 versus Atletico 7 days beforehand in a country far away with a lot of heat, even though it's winter. And then you play 3 days later against Barcelona for 90 in a final. Any Clasico is going to be brutal on the body. And then you fly another 7 hours back to Spain, only to play another 120 against Atletico. So we're talking 330 minutes in about a week, um, with essentially the same players.
yeah,
So when you preface it like that, it's no surprise of what the result was. Um, if you're a Real Madrid supporter and you look at this situation, you're like, okay, Atletico, Barca, Atletico, and you say, okay, 2 wins and technically a draw. Well, I guess 2 draws and technically a win. Um, and one of those draws turns into a win, and one of those draws turns into a loss. At the end of the day, are you really mad about that? Not really. You got a trophy out of it. Um, And another positive, if you're gonna get knocked out of the cup competition, do it fucking early. Okay, like
Yeah.
if you're gonna make the semifinal, you better fucking win it. Like seriously, like if you're gonna make the semifinal, you better win it. Um, Carlo had to play his toughest lineup for this game. He didn't have a choice because you gotta give the fans what they want. The fans want to beat Atletico. I thought to myself, would I have rather lost to Atletico in the Super Cup and then beat them in the Copa? Seeing how in hindsight, obviously no, because we fucking embarrassed Barcelona, which was like the highlight of my week, which was then ruined by Atletico.
Yeah.
Um, but there was a lot of stuff going on in this game. One of the problems is Carlos still hasn't chosen a keeper. It was Kepa, then Kepa got hurt, and then Lunin played really well. And because Lunin played really well when Kepa was hurt, now they're splitting time. And because they're splitting time, neither can find consistency. Kepa played the game in Saudi. Lunin played the cup game. Um, Neither were good. Let's just put it that way. Uh, I think Lunin played the final against Barca, but wasn't really tested too much. Um, but talking about the cup, Lunin, I don't know if you saw the goals. They were just not good. Like the second one, him and Rudiger aren't communicating, and neither of them clear it, and then Lunin hits it into Rudiger, and then Morata taps it in. The first one, he needs to make himself big, and he doesn't. He just kind of chases after the ball, not realizing Samuel Lino is right there, who is a baller, by the way, which we should probably start talking about soon because he's that fucking good. And one of my boys has been on him for like a year and a half now, so I got to give him credit because he deserves it.
Yeah.
Um, just it was ugly. But Real Madrid hit crossbar twice in regulation, so if either of those go in, Real Madrid win 3-2. You get the extra time. Like I said, Vinicius was terrible, too distracted. He did have a really good secondary assist for the second goal. Real Madrid got to come back. Jose Lu comes on, scores the header in the 81st minute. For the third goal, Tchouaméni, fucking lazy as can be, which we can talk about in a sec. So I want to get your thoughts. Doesn't track Griezmann. Vinny gives up the ball and he runs all. Vinny's the one defending him on his back. Actually, almost gives up a foul in the box. Tchouaméni needs to close him down. He doesn't. It's Antoine Griezmann. We're talking about a world-class player. He then puts the ball, fucking beautiful curler to beat. He's now above Aragonés. And then, Athletic get the fourth, and good night, Jim Kite. The game's over. Lunin did right some of his wrongs, though, by making two really big saves before we get the second. And, beyond that, I think Carlo needs to rotate the attack a little more. Um,
Yeah.
Jose Lu is really good. Brahim is really good. Okay, Jose Lu maybe not really good. Jose Lu is definitely serviceable in many games. Brahim is really good. Uh, Arda Güler is really good. You have options there to rotate, so you just need to make sure that you rotate. Beyond that, though, the Tchouaméni stuff, because of the lack of defending, people are going in on him because essentially, his lack of defending cost Real Madrid the game. So, he was getting shit on Twitter, and this dude is a little Twitter warrior sometimes, unfortunately, and he's liking tweets of people or of one person saying that like we shouldn't be questioning Tchouaméni's um commitment. But like this dude also spent too much. He spent a little time on Twitter, like kind of like low key bitching about him playing center back, and it's like, dude, you're at Real Madrid. Like, just be glad. Like, stop crying. Like, no one's asking you to fucking do it for the rest of your career. Like, it's
Yeah.
your job. It's your job.
Well,
Yeah.
doesn't Kamavinga dislike playing left back too?
Yeah, but he said he'll do whatever he's asked to do.
Oh, okay.
So it's a
Well,
little different. So like people, Fede didn't like playing right wing, but we didn't hear him complaining. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah. No, I know that is strange. I didn't. Are you talking about the goal where Griezmann cuts in and scores like the no angle shot?
Yeah. If you go watch it again, Chouameni had like 50 seconds to shut it down and didn't.
Is this? I don't watch Madrid enough to. Is this a reoccurring theme, or is it really just this instant? Because I don't feel like I've seen him.
It's just this instant, but it's an instant that's going to get magnified because of the magnitude of it.
Yeah. So
Plus, with him bitching about playing positions, it was kind of a perfect storm for him to get a little bit of stick from the fan base.
right. I don't know these games don't like. I can't find the average positions. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't do it for this shit for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because what he got subbed on for Valverde,
hmm
but I guess at that point in the
And
game,
we think, and people think he was mad because he didn't start, so that's why he was kind of being lazy. That was like a theory. Um,
yeah,
because actually, I don't know if you've known, but the only two games we've lost this year were both against Atletico at the Metropolitano, and he didn't start either of them. So every game he started since 2023, I think, we've won.
oh wow. Well
Yeah.
then, I mean, if the guy's fit and he wants to play, Carlos should be playing him. To be fair, to be
To be fair, but we also have a deep midfield, and you have to realize that not every game is going to be yours. Arda Güler threw a hissy fit on the weekend because he didn't get subbed in, but no one's mad about that because, the kid just wants to play. We get he wants to play, but you can't, at least make the most of your opportunities because there's 99 million people in this world that would kill to be in your position.
yeah, for sure.
You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying? Like, Kev, if you were in that situation, bro, you would have closed that down.
I would
No,
like
I'm
to.
being serious though. You know what I mean? Like, because you would just be happy to be playing for any club, let alone Real Madrid. I think some of these guys take the opportunity they have for granted.
Yeah, and he's been before Madrid. He was at Monaco, so he's been in clubs where it's hard to forget the privilege of where you're at. So yeah, I can see Madrid fans being upset with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like that's a hard thing to do is to upset Real Madrid fans. This,
Yeah,
the barometer is really high though, like you're replacing Casemiro, a guy that has given his all for the shirt for his whole career essentially. And we brought you in to replace him. Like Casemiro, dude, fucking Griezmann would have had a broken leg before he scored. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
even like Valverde would have literally cut him in half. Like Vinicius almost tripped him in the box because he was trying so hard to not allow him to get in, and that's not Vinny's job. This is Chouameni's job. It's part of his job, part of his tasks as a central defensive midfielder is to do that, to cut off that angle, to defend. It's literally in your title.
yeah,
Central defensive midfielder.
yeah. I don't know. Do you
I'm
think?
underlining defense.
Yeah, do you think there's? This is maybe a bit too heady, but do you think there's an aspect to it where it's like seeing your French compatriot kind of makes you switch off a little bit? Maybe.
That's what some fans were saying, like jokingly. They're like, he saw Griezmann in the box and just was hoping he was going to put it in,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah,
trying to give him space to pass to him.
yeah,
So, some people can have a little bit of banter with it,
yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Um,
but at least none of the other Copa del Rey matches were like that exciting, other than this one. So
for sure, and we can fire through them now. Sevilla get a rare win over Getafe 3-1.
very rare.
Yes, and then we have a bullet here. Could this be the turn? And then they lose to Girona 5-1, which we'll get
Get
into.
smacked,
Yeah, we
smacked, not just lose. They get obliterated.
yeah, we will get into that. Celta Vigo also kind of a rare win for them, 3-1 over Valencia, who are also struggling.
Dude, you're happy to see both those teams win. And Atletico match up with Sevilla for the next round of the Copa.
No, that's awesome. If Sevilla win, that would be pretty cool. Anyways,
That'd be cool. It'd probably be brought. They're probably you'd have to assume them Celta Vigo are probably pushing hard for this trophy to try and give their fans something.
yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. Last season finalists Osasuna are knocked out 0-2. Real Sociedad wins there. Andre Silva, we were talking about this before. He made his way into the starting lineup. This is a guy.
Finally,
Yeah, this is a guy that was supposed to be big. Where was he? Was Milan, Frankfurt, um,
Valencia.
Valencia. He was somewhere else too.
That's kind of where it
Anyway,
started.
yeah. So I guess that's cool to
I think
see.
it was Valencia. I don't know why. I mean, maybe this is somewhere where he can kind of get his career back on track, because he was, I think he was at Leipzig too, maybe.
That sounds right.
So this is a guy that was at big clubs. Um, oh, he was at Sevilla, not what did I say? Valencia. I was close.
Yeah.
So he went from Porto to AC Milan to Sevilla on loan to Eintracht Frankfurt on loan. He was pretty good there, actually. Then went to Eintracht Frankfurt permanently, was really good there, 32 appearances, 28 goals. And then went to Leipzig, did 64 appearances, 15. And now he's on loan at Sociedad with 5 appearances and no goals. So he's only appeared 5 times. And that's a tough 11 to crack, though.
Yeah.
That's not an easy 11 to crack. They're a very good team. They're a very deep team, too, even with Kubo at AFC Asian Cup.
Yeah. That's
Fast Derby, though. So good for them.
yeah. And then
I would love to see them advance. Maybe get another Basque Derby in the semifinal.
that would be awesome. That
It'd be
would be
great for viewership.
Yeah, that would be absolutely bonkers. The atmosphere there. Um, my
Oh yeah, it would be must-watch TV to any actual like football fan, like anyone that like just likes football. If you
yeah,
got or if you got a Basque Derby final,
yeah,
you would that'd actually be fire.
yeah. Um, Mallorca beat Tenerife 1-0, so they're moving on, but they got Girona, so not good luck at the draw because Girona won 3-1 over Rayo Vallecano. And then, another Basque Derby, sorry. Athletic Club beat Alaves 2-0. And Barcelona beat Unionistas 3-1. Even though the game
What
was
a
like,
surprise.
yeah, it wasn't super convincing. I think Ferran Torres put them over the edge. Or maybe that was the other game. So many games since we
I think
last.
Ferran Torres might have put him over the edge there too. He's like we mentioned maybe last episode, the episode before that he's having a pretty decent season.
Yeah, he
Um,
really is.
he definitely put him over the edge against Betis, though, but he definitely scored against Unionistas. Um,
Sure.
but so, we have Celta Vigo, Sociedad, Mallorca, Girona, Athletic Club Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Sevilla. Realistically, I would love to see, Sevilla, Athletic Club Girona, Real Sociedad. But, you know, the juicier, if we got the juiciest ties here, would probably be a Real Sociedad Athletic Club semifinal and Atletico Madrid Girona semifinal, I think would probably be the juiciest ones. Or if you can get Barcelona versus Atletico, um, and then Girona versus Real Sociedad wouldn't be so bad. But I would love to see that Basque Derby in home and away because semifinals home and away.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that would be
is there
awesome.
any? What if you would looking at those games? Um, my first one is the one I prefer. Would you prefer? What would you prefer?
Uh, is it gonna be redrawn or is there a bracket now?
There's not a bracket, so it'll get drawn into the next round, so it can be anything.
Oh
Any
shit.
of the 8 can play each other.
I would I would want to see Sociedad Athletic Club and then Girona Madrid probably.
Yeah, that would be the juiciest for sure.
Or I'd like to see Barcelona Girona again too. I don't know if it
That'd be a good one too. Um, the best if the best 4 can get in, obviously Athletic Club are higher than Barcelona in the standings, but we all know that Barcelona is probably the better team out of the two. But Ernesto Valverde might have a little chip on his shoulder, might have something to prove. So um, they won't have a Naki back for that, which is a huge detriment because he's still at AFCON, and that is those games are this. Those games start tomorrow, so
Oh really?
the grind never stops, Kev.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's moving so fast right now.
Just wait. Once Champions League start, dude, the season's gonna fly, and we're gonna need to do a Champions League preview coming up in like a week. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm down. Um, well, speaking of the season flying by, we had lots of La Liga games too, where there was some interesting results and controversies. Let's start mild with a very dull game between Valencia and Athletic Club, which sees Valencia win. The Mestalla is always difficult to play, which you wrote that down, but I totally agree with it. Um, Osasuna, here we go. Beat Getafe 3-2 in a game that was pretty even, but because Osasuna scored an absolutely crazy goal from Jesus Ereso, who, is going to make himself more well known. This is a very Roberto Carlos esque goal, like you said, except from the opposite side of the field. Do you think it was intentional?
You have to think so, right? I mean,
You don't think
I
he's just.
don't. It's hard to hit a cross like that through your laces and not expect it to go to the right. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean? Like
true.
he hit it with his right foot through the laces. You have to think, that's not, it's not like it was a curler, you know,
No, you're
just my,
totally right.
just my thought process on that one. That's all.
I just think back to the Roberto Carlos goal, and he's obviously taking a crack. Whereas I guess it's because the defender's like so close to Ereso here, it makes it a bit harder to see the intention, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean. But yeah, what an
for sure.
absolute goal! If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Do you think Nikki told me this at work today? Do you think it's better than Garnacho's goal, the
Oh
bike?
yeah, easily, easily.
Okay, okay.
I
I
was gonna
figured
say that.
I figured you'd agree with that. Um,
What do you think?
no, I agree with it. It's just it
Okay,
won't be
it's
it
it's
won't.
way tougher. It's way
Yeah,
tougher to hit than that.
yeah,
A bike's awesome though. But Jude
yeah,
almost hit a bike Jude almost hit a bike on the weekend. Like he
yeah,
just missed it and he hit it well. He just missed the net. Not to say that a bike's easy, but you definitely get more chances to hit a bike than to hit that.
yeah. And that the reason you compare it to Garnacho is because it's not going to get as many headlines as Garnacho's goal,
No.
which is a shame because
But if he did that for a big team, it definitely would. Like let's say he just
yeah,
played for Barcelona or even Atletico, that shit would be doing the rounds.
true, true.
That's a goal of a career, bro. You know what I mean? Like he'll probably never score a better goal than that.
I mean, I don't know how you could even. I don't I don't know what else you could do.
0.00 XG. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. Like that's crazy. When I saw that, I literally laughed out loud. It means nobody has scored from that angle. Like it means like one in a million, and he's the one. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, without a doubt. Um, Moving on to another Madrid game which had all the stops. They beat Almeria 3-2. Uh,
Almeria,
Almeria, sorry.
Jamie Carragher. It just he said it, and then they started clowning him when he said it. And I heard it, because all the Barca fans have been talking. They all say Almeria, it's Almeria, and it's like, how can you even like Spanish? And I'm not saying you, Kev. I'm just saying like, how can you like Barcelona and not know how to pronounce the teams in the league? I don't claim to, I can't say Salernitana, but I don't claim to like Serie A. So,
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
just saying. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying like, I don't know. We should just try to do. It's just funny. That's all. Not you. I'm just saying when people say it
Yeah,
wrong.
no, the pronunciation in the game is very strange. I know there's an analyst on Tifo who swears that Odegaard's correct pronunciation is Odegaard.
Okay, well,
Um,
that's kind of funny that you mentioned him. 'Cause I'm wearing an Odegaard jersey.
yeah, it's
So
like it's like Odegaard. That's the way he says
maybe it
it.
is. Maybe he's right. I don't know. If I'm
Yeah,
saying it wrong, I hope someone would tell me though, because I want to say it right.
but yeah, I remember that always being a bit with them. Anyways, Real Madrid go down 2-0, and they managed to claw their way back 3-2. You thought
Remontada.
yeah, you thought the Carlos lineup wasn't very good. Do you care to
Way
explain?
wrong. Way wrong. I don't even need to explain it because we just talked about it. The guys are tired, man. We go to
Yeah.
the first half and no intensity. Um, no intensity at all. And, going down 2-0, we were unlucky when you look at the XG. Well, we don't even have the XG here. Um, they didn't even crack 1 XG for the game. So being down 2-0 is pretty absurd. I'm gonna look it up while I'm ranting right now. But no intensity. They're just passing the ball around. They're sleepwalking around the pitch.
Look at the
And
momentum
that's
bar.
not fair. Are you looking at it right now?
Well, look at the momentum bar right
I'm
here.
trying to find the game. Oh, you have it.
It's hard to
Yeah,
see.
exactly. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Um, yeah, it's pretty much all Real Madrid. They had 0.89 XG, so I was pretty spot on with point 0.8. To get 2 goals from 0.89 XG is pretty lucky. Um, but we already talked about it. The one they hit was 0.01 XG. But the XG on target was zero point 0.4, so it means he placed it really well too.
Yeah.
Um, on the first one, Kepa, I thought did a really shitty job. I thought he should have saved it. I'm over Kepa. For me, it's Lunin now. I was really indifferent for a long time. So Carlo got that wrong. I will literally go through every player that Carlo got wrong. Danny Carvajal was fine. Rudiger was fine. Nacho has been a shambles. He actually played really well against Atletico. Um, he gives away the ball twice for the 2 opening goals. Ferland Mendy, you're playing Almeria. You're not playing fucking Manchester City. God damn it, get Fran Garcia in the fucking lineup. Okay? Valverde, he was good, but he needs a rest, man. He's tired. He's pretty much played every minute this season. Chouameni, I'm fine with, but do you really need a shield in front of your back line against Almeria? Probably not. Tony Cruz, I thought it was his worst game in a Real Madrid uniform, actually.
Yeah.
But I was actually fine with Tony Cruz starting. Jude Bellingham starts and he takes his pen. Didn't I tell you he was going to take the next pen?
Yeah.
Um, I would have been okay with actually rotating all of Jude, Rodrigo, and Vinny out um, for Jose Lu, Goulart, and Brahim. So Carlo goes into halftime, clearly chews everybody out because Nacho benched, Mendy benched, Rodrigo benched. So he makes 3 subs. Chouameni gets dropped to center back. He goes to a 4-2-3-1, brings on, has Tony Cruz and Valverde in a double pivot, brings on Brahim Diaz to play right wing. He's got Jose Lu at the 9. He's got Vini at left wing. He's got Bellingham in the hole, and he's got Fran Garcia on the left. And boy, will I tell you, just those 3 changes brought so much energy. And this is part of the problem, Kev. And I'll tell you, this is why you need deep squads in Europe. This is why you need talented deep squads. You need you need your bench players to play because guess what's different between the bench players and the starters? The bench players are hungry. They want more minutes. And guess what? You give them this chance, they're going to fucking take it. So you start Brahim Diaz. You start Jose Lu. You start these players against Almeria because they want to prove to you, they want to get the job done. So Carlo makes those changes. And guess what? The moment that kickoff starts, you have zero doubt Real Madrid is coming back. You don't know if they're going to win. You don't even know if they're going to tie it, but you know they're coming back. You can feel it. Even the announcers are like, "Oh, you can smell a remontada coming," because you just know. You can feel it. The stadium's getting into it. The stadium was whistling the players the whole first half. They were pissed.
Yeah.
Um, it was probably the first time I'd ever heard like Tony Cruz be whistled. Which people on the internet will say Tony Cruz has never been whistled. Luka Modric's never been whistled. I'm sorry, Tony Cruz was literally whistled against Almeria. Okay, like he was.
Yeah.
They whistled the whole team. He was whistled. Um, and I think that was kind of a note to Carlo to kind of switch it up. So Rodrigo, Mendy, Nacho go off. Brahim, Jose Lu, and Fran come on. The energy is completely different. Fran is bombing down the left wing. Vinicius is now getting into the game because Fran is giving him that energy. Like guys feed off energy. Raheem always brings the energy. And so, Real Madrid get a comeback, and that's what a remontada is. And
Yeah.
this is literally Real Madrid's DNA, but there was a lot of controversy here.
Yeah.
That Almeria goal gets called back. They would have been up 3-1 with a hand to the face. Um, Actually, we do get VAR conversations now, and it seems that both refs were in agreement. So it seems that, there wasn't any, like Hernandez, who notoriously hates Real Madrid, by the way, and always calls everything against us. He was the VAR ref. And he was like, "Hey, Fran, I see a hand to the face here. That's probably a foul. You might want to look at the screen." So he's like, "All right." He looks at the screen. He says, "Yep, sir, I see the foul. All right, we're going to call the ball back." He says, "Yup, I'm in agreement." Like you had two professional refs agreeing on what the call should be. So it's not like they were like, and technically by the rule book, all these calls are correct, but it's Real Madrid. It's a big club. They're going to talk about how we rob everybody as they always do. Um, So even before that, though, we get a handball. It's a clear handball. I don't think there's any controversy on that one. Jose Lu hits a header down, but he just kind of nicks it, and then it hits the guy's arm like right here. Clear pen. Bellingham slots it 2-1. Almeria go on the counter. Sergio Arribas, Real Madrid academy guy, player, scores. What a surprise there. Our academy guys always score against us. Called off because Jude gets slapped in the face. Kev, do you think that goal should have counted?
I didn't see it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I did not see it, but I can find it real quick.
Yeah. And then I'll just continue.
Yeah.
And then Real Madrid get a goal from Vinicius scoring with his shoulder. Um, from my understanding, and the rules are always changing, from here and up is not a handball. From the sleeve and up, not a handball. It clearly hits white. It doesn't hit this. It might hit this, right? My sleeve can go all the way down to here, to all the way up here, right?
Yeah.
So there's there's a no, but seriously, there's a lot of discrepancy going
Yeah.
on
No, I get it. Yeah.
with that call. Um, I thought it hit his shoulder because I'm not really sure how a ball, unless you have some really freakishly big muscles, how you get the ball to bounce like that unless it hits a bone.
Yeah.
And all the angles I saw looked like a shoulder, but I could be wrong. I'm obviously biased. Um, do you think that one should have been given?
Well, you know what? You know how Vinny said he scores goals like that at Copacabana Beach all the time?
I'm sure he does.
I think that's a perfect way of describing it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's sort of a Hoga Bonita goal in a way, where it's
it
like
really is when you think about it. Like it's just, yeah, it's
I don't
using
know.
every part of your body.
Yeah, and so I think that was certainly a goal. I saw that
Okay.
one. I did see that one because you made the TikTok that got deleted for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
typical La Liga. What a
but
surprise. Follow us on TikTok.
yeah, no, that was certainly a goal. I I will I'll side with Madrid on that one for sure.
So I agree. And part of the issue I have with the second one, which I don't know if you've gotten it yet, the second
Yeah,
VAR call, because there was three, and they were all real quick. So you're sitting there like watching the game. You're like, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, God, no matter which way this game goes, we're never going to hear the end of it. I was like, even if I was like, either Real Madrid are going to be pissed or, Barcelona fans and Atletico fans are going to talk about how we're Madrid and blah blah blah. Um, but remember, we're the ones who paid refs for 20 years, right? Oh shit, no, never mind, that
yeah.
wasn't us. Um, I actually thought the second one was kind of weak. Technically, does Jude get hit in the face? Yes. Technically, is that a foul? Yes. But Kev, the ref was literally 5 feet away, looking right at it, and didn't call it. So, um,
I'm looking at it now, right?
yeah, it's kind of soft, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I think that's pretty.
It's
Jude
soft.
Jude selling that one for sure. It's
Yeah, I mean, technically, by the book, is it the right call?
yes, it is.
Probably. It's
That's
just tough. Like, it's tough because, like, let's just say the ref blows the whistle. when that happens, or let's just say they don't score, nobody even talks about it.
Yeah.
But we're only talking about it because they scored.
Yeah, no, that's a soft one. You don't know how many times I've seen it with Spurs, even this season, where it's like it's a by the book call, but you need to apply context to it. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
also the difference between watching a video in real time and slow motion as well. But even this one, like when it's slowed down, you're like, all right, yes, he gets hit in the face, and like that's gonna make someone sort of like recoil back. But I think Jude knew what he was doing there. To be honest with you,
Oh, for
um,
sure. Um, but then Real Madrid get the winner late, and it's just, the whole stadium goes fucking nuts. And actually, my buddy had a friend who was in the stadium, so I actually have a video that I can send you. Um,
hell
it'll
yeah,
be easy to find 'cause he sent it to me yesterday. Oh, there it is. God, why did that take so long to find? Um, his friend looks like they're up in the rafters, which is pretty cool. And Real Madrid get the winner. Chouameni hits a cross to. Oh, maybe I should add this to the TikTok, 'cause it's a really cool video. Um,
go ahead. No, I need to go see a game. I've been trying to find reasonable time to go see a Spurs game. Need to
you
make it
got to go
happen.
hit a couple while you're over there.
Yeah,
You got to go. You might as well go to Madrid while you're there too, and go see the Cathedral of football.
I'd love
One of
to.
them. One of them. You can also go to the new Camp Nou, San Siro. But Danny grabs the goal, rips off the shirt. Goat stuff.
This is an awesome video.
Yeah, right.
No, that is awesome.
I'm, but I'm sure my boy's friend could feel it coming. You can feel it in the air.
Yeah,
Um, but moving on, Isco gets his 13th man of the match, which is most in La Liga, despite losing 4-2 to Barcelona. Um, Isco puts the team on his back, scores twice, one goal azul, and then Barca scored two really, really late, 90 plus two to win the game. Unfortunately, uh, I prefer Real Betis to Sevilla, so usually that's kind of the way it goes: Real Betis and Real Madrid, and then Barcelona and Sevilla. Going to go hand in hand. Um,
interesting. Ferran Torres is worth mentioning again here, scoring twice, right? I'm not
Twice,
tripping.
yeah.
Um, and in a game that pretty relatively even all around. In terms of our underlying statistics that we love. This is a good result for Barca. Whether or not it's deserved, this is gonna keep them afloat in the UCL race. They're certainly not in the title race any longer.
Gotta keep getting points though. That's
Yeah,
kind of that's the important thing
yeah.
for them, especially.
Speaking of the title race, Girona back on top, right? Or did Madrid go
Yes.
back top?
No, they're
Okay,
back on top of the win.
yeah,
We have a game
absolutely.
in hand,
Oh,
so we're gonna be back for a little.
yeah. Girona absolutely decimate Sevilla, 5-1, and an XG
Yeah.
of 2.4 to 0.69. Take it with a grain of salt, obviously. But Dovbik hat trick. Girona has a few Ukrainian talents. I don't know. I think it can't go understated that Girona thrash a historic club like Sevilla just like it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. They're playing so well. It's so
Yeah.
the City Group have done an amazing thing with them. It's really just I know that they don't have the resources that Man City do, but they're a part of the same scouting network, and obviously Douglas Luiz was a part of Girona for a while. Um, but this takes nothing away from Girona's players. You know, um, I don't know. I think it's awesome that you have teams that are starting to build their own history. We see teams like Sevilla maybe falling off. We see teams like Santos, our very first podcast, they get relegated. But new eras happen, new chapters do begin, and if this is one for Girona, that's pretty cool. Um, Moving on to Bundesliga, which was also jam packed. Starting off with very quickly, just mentioned Darmstadt 2-2 Frankfurt. Darmstadt rescue a point late at home, which sees them even with 16th and 17th place, as relegation is very intense in the Bundesliga.
On the cusp. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then Dortmund thrash Cologne 0-4 with XG of 1.3 to 3.38. Dortmund had possession about 2/3 of the time. Daniel Malin brace. Sancho played well. Matson assist. I don't know. It looks like Dortmund are kind of having a bit of a resurgence right now.
Yeah. You gotta love it though for them.
Yeah, without a doubt. This sees them. I believe they're fifth, but they're tied with fourth right now. So big result for the UCL race.
Yeah, I
Then,
think they'll get in pretty easily because Stuttgart is struggling right now.
no, we shall see. But then the juicy fixture of the weekend, which if
The
you're still
biggest
with
fixture of the whole weekend.
yeah, if you're still with us an hour and 17 minutes in, the biggest fixture of the whole weekend, Leipzig 2-3 Leverkusen. Leverkusen win it
Get the
late,
win late.
yes,
Late.
through Piero Hincapié, who is a really good young center back, left-footed. After the first 15 minutes or so, if you look at the momentum bar, Leverkusen did dominate. But Leipzig have some great players like Luis Openda and Xavi Simons who score their goals. Kudos to them. Those guys will be, whether they stay at Leipzig, well, Xavi Simons obviously not, but Openda, whether he stays at Leipzig or not, these guys are
He's
great.
really good, man.
Yeah, they're great players.
He's got the most shots on target in the Bundesliga, I believe. Or maybe it's the most shots taken, something like that.
I got you. But yeah, Leverkusen, they go 7 points clear, although Bayern have a game in hand, which they still have the game in hand, but they kind of just wasted it, which we'll get
Well, they
into.
play on Wednesday too. They play on Wednesday. That's the game in hand. So we'll see
Yeah,
um how many they fix where they kind of slide in.
right. Um, I just say that because they could have really put the pressure on had they beat Werder Bremen, but I think we're jumping the gun a bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight that Frimpong and Palacios go down for Leverkusen. Frimpong, it doesn't look like he'll miss any game time. It maximum just one game, but Palacios looks like he'll be done for a while, that's a big blow for
That's a
Leverkusen.
big blow for them. Yeah, but they do have really good depth this year. God, what's the name? Starts with an A. He's been really good for them when he plays.
Aaron
Why
Geese,
am I
is
blanking?
he still there?
Andrix, and Andrich. It's Andrich. Andrich, something like that. Robert Andrich.
Hmm.
Um, he's German. That's why I thought it was Andrich. Uh, he's 29. I mean, he's been around the block for a little while. He's kind of coming off the bench. He's hopped around. He's with Union Berlin until 2021 when he joined Leverkusen. Even if you go to his Wikipedia page, it's literally nothing.
Yeah.
It literally says club as of match played 30th, and then it's just where he played. Personal life: his uncle Frieder was a footballer who played for DDR Oberliga. Like, this dude, nobody knows anything about him. Let's just put it that way. Um, but from what I've seen of him, I like him. I think he's a good player. I think if they didn't bring in Chaka, he'd probably have been the starter alongside Palacios. So he's got the number 8 for Leverkusen, which is a big number. So, if Palacios does miss time, I don't think it's the end of the world because he's He's a very good player to replace
Yeah,
him. Is he Palacios? No, but he's still very good.
yeah, and the next guy up for them, off coming off the bench, is Noah Mbamba, a 19-year-old Belgian who is quite good, at least according to FM. I will say that. I don't know a whole much about him, but I've come across him in the game as the years go on. Um, anyways,
Well, and just to put it in perspective, you have two center back score, and you have your outside back score, who replaced Frimpong and Nathan Tella. So Nathan Tella gets the first and the 47th. Jonathan Tah gets one in the 63rd, and then Piero Hincapié gets the third in 90 plus. And if the whole I watched the game, it felt like the whole time that Leverkusen was going to get one. Sometimes you definitely know. Sometimes you watch games, you're like, they're going to get it. I swear they're going to get it, and then they just don't. Um, it kind of had that feel. You kind of felt that they were going to um get it after being down 2-0
yeah,
or 2-1. Sorry, I think is what they were down. But then they get the second, and then you're like, okay, wait, they only need one more. And then it took them a whole another like 30 minutes to get the third, and they were pushing that whole time. I don't know how the attacking momentum looks. That's probably really interesting from Sofa to actually look at. Um, but just saying, it felt from my visual that Leverkusen were the better team for at least the second portion of it.
oh
I'm
yeah,
not quite
no,
sure what day they played, but I'm gonna find it.
I can
There
I
you go.
can
Yeah, the attacking momentum in the second half was pretty much all Leverkusen, and it looks like beyond like the 20th minute, it was pretty much all Leverkusen.
yeah,
But early on in the game, I don't know if you can see it, but early on in the game, it was pretty
yeah,
much Leipzig dominating. And
that's what I was saying.
Xabi Alonso made some really good subs to start this, or subs, made some really good tactical tweaks in the second half, which helped Leverkusen dominate.
What did he do?
Just tweak the positioning a little bit, which is normally what he does. Um, when you let me see if I can find some heat maps from Mark Statsbomb. I doubt he did them for that game, but I wish he would have. Let me see if I can find anything.
Well, yeah, because Frimpong goes down, and that is going to change things. It probably took him until
Yeah,
halftime to really figure out
yeah.
what he was going to do.
Well, and they were pushing, and their center backs were pushing a little bit higher. Bayern Warner Bremen. Let me see.
I mean, without
Milan.
without Kosunu as well, it probably
Ooh, I got it. I got it. He has it. Okay. Let me see if he has. That's Leipzig. Um, Hoffman started to tuck in a little bit more. Which is normal for them, but he was tucking in more and Tella was getting wide. And it just looked like they changed the rhythm. They kind of moved the ball a little bit faster, and they switched their rotations a little bit.
yeah,
Schick would kind of drop in a little bit to open up space. Um, and Grimaldo was a lot more involved with his passing, which is someone you want to get involved. Um, and yeah, it's just little tactical tweaks like that, which um, set up everything for your team. And Grimaldo had 1.07 XT himself, so um, and most of that came in the second half. And Leverkusen had 2.07, so he accounted for over 50% of their XT. To put in
pretty crazy.
perspective,
Yeah, he had 2 assists in the game. Um,
yeah, I think
let's
both from corners though. So
okay,
not, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because I'm pretty sure both their corners came from that right corner flag.
that would make sense. Moving on, Bayern 0-1 Werder Bremen. XG 1.92 to 0.43 in favor of Bayern. Bayern had 7 shots on target to Bremen's 3. First bullet point. What the fuck? This this happens every now and again where, obviously a team gets unlucky, but I do think that Tuchel was a little all over the place here. Um, where do I start? He
They
started.
dominated at the end though. Like I was really shocked they didn't get at least one from what I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah. I don't know. It was a smart game plan for Werder Bremen. Obviously, Davies and Sane on the left, and then you see Guerrero starting in the left defensive mid, attack down the right. Like those guys, I
Yeah,
don't.
he's done that a couple times. I think it's essentially, he's just like an inverted fullback at that point.
Right, and he's just starting there, and he's. I mean, I get it, and Werder Bremen's a weak side. You have them at home. I get it, but it's also like you kind of gave Werder Bremen a game plan yourself in a way, and that's where the goal
That's
comes
true.
from down the right. Um, if you look at the average positions, yes, Bayern Munich were pretty much camped in the attacking half. Um, but look at Werder Bremen's structure; it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
it does.
it's clear what
They
they're
got
trying
two
to do.
lines. Yeah, they have two line. Oh, technically they have three lines if you really think about it. Three lines of defense.
Yeah,
Their two strikers are pretty even, making them a line. And you have a four across. With the probably wing. I probably think wing, two central midfielders and a wing, and then it looks like you have maybe the center back step up, and then um a back three. So you have a couple lines, and you have a shield right in front of the line, which
yeah,
is really cool to see from what you said.
yeah, and Bayern Munich just look. This is the key for me, right? Like Werder Bremen are clearly going to sit in a low block, and there's no width from Bayern Munich. Take a look at the average
That's a
positions.
good point. Yeah.
No one
The
is.
only width looks like it's coming from is 11 Sane or Coman.
It's Coman, but even then,
Okay.
like he needs to be outside of the 18-yard box if you're gonna try and make space for the back line because he wants Musiala playing off of Kane, and they need space in order to do that. I don't know. It didn't feel right for me. Um, and you start Coleman on the right and Sana on the left because you want them to be real wingers, but you don't have them playing wide. They're clearly not inside forwards. I don't know. It's strange, and you know if you're gonna, they're dominating the ball as well. So have Davies bomb forward. Look at his average position. He's not. He's not. He's not
Yeah,
attacking. I
he's
don't
just a
know.
little wide. Well, I'm looking at the Mark Stats bomb of in possession,
Yeah.
and he's only a tad wider than Sane,
Okay.
like just
But
a tad.
How far up is he?
He's pretty much Sane's pretty much completely in Davies' box, except for a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I just I think I'm a Tuchel hater, so I'm trying to find
I'm a Tuchel hater too, so
I'm trying to find ways to make him look like an idiot. But I even okay.
yeah. See, like it's right here, so like they're really bunched up in the middle, and um, as we can see, I'll go right here. Look how many people they had in the middle right here, and look how deep and comfortable they were. Look at that.
That is
Like
amazing. That is amazing.
that's a great block, man. They deserve 3 points. Like just looking at this map right
Yeah.
here, that's incredible. Like yeah, I mean,
That is wild. Wow.
and look, Musiala is your furthest forward. Um, and I hate to say it, this isn't a knock on Kane, but like this would have actually been a solid game for Choupo-Moting, someone to I don't know occupy these guys in the box.
Yeah, no,
Maybe
I completely agree with you. That was a problem with Kane at
Kane
Spurs.
and Musiala are kind of redundant.
Yes, I agree with you.
in this context, in this game. I don't think they're redundant if you're playing Dortmund or Leverkusen or Real Madrid or even Tottenham, Barcelona, like, but against a club that's going to come into your stadium and sit low in a deep block, they're kind of redundant. And we've seen Kane and Choupo-Moting start together a number of times this year.
It can be done.
To me, it would have been a good match for Bayern to just, Tuchel loves a back three, just go with a back three, get some width, go like a 3-4, a 3-5-2 or something,
Yeah,
and get Davies and I mean, but having Conrad Leimer at right back doesn't help you either. Like,
it doesn't.
if you went
He,
with a back three, you could have just played Coman like right wing back, Davies left wing and back. Um, if you want to start Guerrero and Kimmich in a double pivot, you can still do that. If you want, if you want Kane, Musiala, you just take out Sane and get Choupo-Moting in there to, operate in the center backs and get Davies and Coman to give you width. Like, and he
I
went for it late. I mean, uh, Coman, Kimmich, Guerrero, and Davies come off for Goretzka, Choupo-Moting, Mueller, and Tell. So, I just named three attackers, and he only brought off one attacker. So, he was going for it, but it
yeah.
just didn't work out.
I don't know. I feel as if it was a pretty poor game plan. Um.
Probably.
Anyways, then that's a big
Moving on.
result. No tactical
It
tactic.
is. It's huge for Leverkusen too.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on to Serie A. Very quickly, Juve go top over a 3-0 win over Lecce. It's Blahovic brace. I think it's four
He's had
goals
a
in
good
the last.
year.
Yeah. He's in form right
Inter do
now.
have a game in hand. Inter do, but Juve have won their last five, and I think they're averaging like 3 goals a game since the turn of the year. 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, 2-1, 6-1. Yeah. So
Yeah,
those are the
they're
last five. Um,
flying high. Um,
they haven't lost in a very long time. Wow. They haven't lost since September 23rd, 2023.
Jeez.
To Sassuolo. 1-0 against Lecce, 0-0 Atalanta, 2-0 Torino, 1-0 Milan, 1-0 Verona, 1-0 Fiorentina, 2-1 Calabria, 1-1 Inter, 2-1 Monza, 1-0 Napoli, 1-1 Genoa, 2-1 Frosinone, 1-0 Roma, 6-1 Salernitana, 2-1 Salernitana, 4-0 Frosinone, 3-0 Sassuolo, 3-0 Lecce. And they play Empoli next. So this is a team in pretty good form. We actually have a decent race and we have a decent race in Serie A. Who would have thought
Yeah,
actually?
it came out of nowhere, kind of. We've been sleeping on you.
Yeah, we have. We've been sleeping on Juve because we just shit talk Allegri all the time.
Yeah, but they're wow,
And
sneaking under the
dude, that
radar.
Champions League last dude, you see that?
What?
Are you looking at this?
No,
Fiorentina 34 points, Atalanta 33 points, Lazio 33 points, Bologna 32 points, Roma 32 points, Napoli 31 points.
Serie A is spicy.
Yeah, it is spicy. It's getting spicy in there. It's a spicy league right now. Honestly, this has actually been a really good year for football. When you think about it, Juve Inter fighting it out. You have a good fight for fourth place. Bundesliga, you have Leverkusen Bayern fighting it out. We talk about it all the time. That third to fourth place in the Bundesliga is going to be juicy towards the end of the year. Stuttgart is scuffling without Gadassi. Leipzig in fourth, Dortmund in fifth, Eintracht Frankfurt in sixth. Serie A, we just mentioned. EPL, Liverpool and Man City are going to go punch for punch for the rest of the year. I guarantee it. Um, and even, you got Tottenham in fifth, you got Man United in seventh, you got Chelsea in ninth, Newcastle in 10th. Those guys are going to look to climb the table a little bit. And then in La Liga, we got the Rona top, Real Madrid in second, Barcelona some way back, but we have Barcelona, Atletico, Sociedad all fighting for those European spots. So,
Yeah,
um, it's let's call a spade a spade. Football's actually been pretty good this year. Clearly no scripts have been written.
Yeah, except for France. Um,
Always. I mean, do they need a script? Is that I thought that was just a given. I thought it was
um,
like City winning Premier Leagues at this point.
pretty much is. Um, moving on very quickly, Milan beat Udinese 3-2. Um, just want to mention Noah Okafor grabbing the extra time winner for Milan. And then,
Milan looked good recently. They look really
yeah,
good recently.
they do. They do. They're finally starting to get healthy again as well, which is a big help. Um, and
There you
then
go.
Daniele De Rossi makes his debut for Roma. They win
Oh,
2-1.
baby.
They win 2-1. 0.92 to point 1 or 1.17. So, probably should have been a draw. Um,
Overall's a fair result for sure.
yeah. But De Rossi's playing completely different football to what we see or what we saw from Mourinho. It looks like a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, but then I looked at the average positions. Maybe it's a 4-1-4-1. It's kind of hard to tell. Point is, it's a back four instead of a back three. Just continue to watch this. I think it should make for some interesting developments. Um, Sherrari had a really good game for Roma, which is cool to see. Um, and then we reach international football. I just want to start with AFCON real quick because it's a bit shorter. Um, Egypt lose Salah and a 2-2 draw to Ghana, and then they drew 2-2 today to Cape Verde, who topped the group undefeated. So shout out to them. Um, Ghana's most likely out now, but Egypt will be without Salah throughout the rest of the tournament.
He's down for the tournament. Oh yeah, he went back to Liverpool. I forgot.
Yeah, there's a very small chance if they make the final, he'll come back, but are they going to make the final now? No. Um, Nigeria beat the Ivory Coast 1-0. These AFCON games have been coming in very fast, so bear with us.
Yeah, they play like every 3 days. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's not kind of
Um,
crazy. It's just weird because we're in mid-season. Um, yeah.
it is strange. Nigeria grabbed the victory 1-0 over Ivory Coast. It was an interesting game, one with lots of European talent.
Yeah.
Um,
It's poor finishing from Oshimen on a couple of chances.
yeah. But it's a big result for Ivory Coast because they're probably done now.
You'd think they have a shot, but
They lost 4-0 to Equatorial Guinea today. So
which really hurts them on goal differential.
yeah,
The one positive is that they have a win.
yeah,
They just gotta hope that two teams tie. Like that's gotta be their hope. I think they're
yeah.
the only group. No, two groups are done. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, actually, Ghana's already below them, so they're already like they only need one more team to tie because Ghana tied Mozambique. Is that how you say
Mozambique.
it?
Mozambique.
Yeah. So they need Cameroon and or Gambia to tie because they play. Um,
That could happen.
Algeria is already above them. They need Nambia. Nope, if Nambia ties, they're in. I'm guessing they play Tunisia. No, they play Mali. Okay, so they need. Okay, so that could actually work. Um, they need Nambia to lose to Mali, and then they need South Africa to beat Tunisia. Um, but
That
they
could happen.
need Nambia to lose because actually their goal differential is only -3. So right now they're even. So if Nambia loses, they're in. So that's what they need. They need
Wow.
Nambia to lose. Um, or no, if Zambia draws, yeah, I guess they need Cameroon to draw or Nambia to lose. So and Tunisia. So those are the three results. The Nambia and Tunisia one need to be together.
Yeah. Either way, it's been a disappointing run for Ivory Coast, I would say. Um,
Yeah, they can right some wrongs here though, if they get lucky and get through.
that's true. That's true. And then just wanted to highlight that Senegal beat Cameroon 3-1. I would have to say Senegal are the firm favorites right now. I don't
They're
know
pretty
about you.
good for sure. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you want to
Equatorial
wrap up?
Guinea's looked really good, like really good.
They have. It's really
Nigeria,
surprising.
obviously, Nigeria is obviously Nigeria. Um, Egypt get through with 3 draws, which is really interesting. Um, Senegal technically hasn't locked up the 1 seed yet, but Guinea is really good. I've heard they're like a mix of like they're very technical like Spain. Um,
Okay.
so that'll be interesting. And they play tomorrow at 12, and then Algeria plays um, Mar Mauritania at 3, and then Angola plays Burkina Faso at 3 as well. So we'll have the group literally locked up by Wednesday night. We'll know exactly who's in and who's out. Um, and we might know if Nigeria's through tomorrow around 2. So not so bad.
Yeah, definitely not. Um,
Uh,
go
Asian
ahead.
Cup,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've been following this a little bit more. Qatar's through. They went undefeated, 9 points. And just like because there's 6 groups, you can get third in advance. So 4 third place teams get through and only 2 get eliminated because they do a round of 16. Um, Qatar beat China 1-0, which actually it pretty much knocks out China, but not necessarily. China's on 2 points with a -1. So if somehow someone in third ends up with 2 points and they have a -2, China gets through. But it's not looking good. Australia plays Uzbekistan tomorrow. Australia's through, but if they tie or win, they're first in the group, and Uzbekistan is pretty much through as well. But Syria plays India, and China's got to be hoping for a draw because they'll both be on -1. But if Syria wins, they're in. Um,
That's surprising.
Iran 2-0. So they got 6 points, and Iran is playing United Arab Emirates, who's in second on 4 points, and Palestine can get through if they beat Hong Kong. Um, if they draw Hong Kong, looking good for China because Palestine is -3. So if they tie, they'll still be -3,
Wow.
and that's a nice bump for China in this competition.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip Group D for now because it's really interesting. I'll just go down to Group F. Saudi Arabia is through on 6 points, but if they draw or win, they play Thailand, who's in second, who mathematically speaking is through because they have 4 points. And there's a couple teams with 2 already. So they're through. But Oman plays Kyrgyzstan, and if Oman beats Kyrgyzstan, they're in. If they draw Kyrgyzstan, they're -1. So we're back to what comes into the tiebreaker with China. And then in Group E, Jordan, South Korea, Bahrain, and Malaysia. Malaysia's out. They don't even have a shot. I mean, I guess technically they do have a shot, but no, I don't even. I think they would get fourth in their group anyway. They'd have to win by like 6. Um,
Not gonna happen.
it could happen, except for the fact that they're playing South Korea.
Yeah. No.
South Korea will probably win this game, and Jordan plays Bahrain. So even if they get a draw, so they're fighting for first in this group because Jordan and South Korea tied, so they're both 1-1. And right now Jordan's on top because they beat Malaysia 4-0. Um, so you should expect South Korea to top this group. And the last and interesting group is Group D, where Iraq is top on 6 points after beating Japan 2-1. Japan had their last game against Vietnam, who's arguably the worst team in the tournament. So they could easily top this group. And Indonesia, who lost to Japan, play Iraq. And played Japan semi tough. Japan could top this group if the gold. Actually, I don't think they can because they lost to Iraq. So Japan can only get second, even if Iraq loses. So that game with Iraq and Japan Japan completely dominated. The attacking momentum was so much in Japan's favor. It was crazy. And Iraq still get the 3 points. It was kind of incredible. Are you still in on this Japanese team though?
Yes. I mean, I don't know, man. I think uh, I think Iraq kind of pulled off a Werder Bremen, if you know what I mean. Japan had
Yeah,
72% of the possession in this game. They just couldn't really find. I mean, it's a team that it's gonna struggle when someone's playing death ball against them. Like I don't know. Let's look. Iraq lined up in a 4-2-3-1. I don't believe it. I think that was a 4-5-1. And
probably.
I don't know. I'm still in on them. It, there's not
In these
there's not
cup
a,
competitions, anything can happen, but
I agree with you, but
I
there's
still
just
think Japan, it doesn't matter as long as they get through, which they're
yeah.
through. So,
They should be clear favorites. Although Qatar do look strong, Saudi Arabia looks strong, um, South Korea obviously. So yeah,
yeah, I think those are probably let's give some respect to Iraq too.
yeah,
Those are probably top five favorites right now for Asian. And, come the weekend, we will actually be talking about the round of 16 games anyway. So we'll know who's in, who's out, who's probably in the quarterfinals. Because I think the round of 16 games are all Saturday and Sunday, if I had to guess. Um, Maybe not all Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for round of 16 games for them. And then AFCON, I believe, has them on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Um, But AFCON might do 4 games in a day, actually, now that I think about it. Nope, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 2 games a day. So got to get
that
that TV
blows.
time.
Yeah, that blows. And I haven't even. I don't think Afcon's even really like broadcasted here in America. Really,
BN Sports, yeah. So,
that's a shame.
but the tournament's coming to an end. We're almost there. February 11th is the end. So we have, what, 2 weeks left, for both tournaments. And then right when the tournaments end, we'll be right into Champions League football.
It's
So,
crazy. It never
which is
stops.
what I'm really looking forward to. No, it never does stop, Kev. Why would it stop? These guys don't stop. Um, but it's not looking so bad for Asian Cup. Both are going to be interesting. We just really, um, on our end, the interesting part comes in the quarterfinals for both competitions.
Yeah, I agree. You need to. No disrespect to some of these nations, but you do need to sort of, all right, you've had your time. The,
Yeah,
Ta-
exactly.
the Tajikistans and the Iraqs of the world.
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah,
Well, and it's kind of not sad, but it's nice that they get to play in these competitions because in the Euros, like Luxembourg never will get a shot ever, like
yeah.
ever. Um, so and it's nice for some of these countries because like even like David Alaba, I'm not even sure if he's ever played in a World Cup because Austria is good, but it's tough for them to qualify. I know they didn't qualify for the last one, let's just put it that way. And like you got to feel for um an Austrian. Let's see.
I don't
Austria.
think
Yeah, they
so.
got fourth in World Cup qualifiers last year, which means they don't even get to play in a playoff.
That's
Or
crazy.
last World Cup. And then the other World Cup qualifiers, they got fourth again. So yeah, it's not easy in these streets. Let's just put it that way. Even for very good nations like Austria, who literally make the Euro every single time
Yeah,
because
and
they're good enough.
let's be honest, Austria would win the Asian Cup. I don't know about the AFCON, but they would win the Asian Cup.
I don't know if they're better than Japan, but they would be competing for it. Let's be honest. Um,
Yeah, so
I don't want to
if
go out on a limb and just be like, yeah, they're winning for sure. But
I would, I would.
I mean, but like let's look at this group H. Just, this is from 2016, 2017. Group H, just, Belgium, Greece, Bosnia, Estonia, Cyprus, and Gibraltar. I think Austria is probably getting second or third in that group.
Yes,
Wow, the group they were in, they got fourth, and it was Serbia, Ireland, Wales, Austria, Georgia, Moldova.
that's surprising. I don't think their squad must have not have been as good as it is now.
Well, this Wales team had Gareth Bale too. That Ireland team, Ireland always puts up a decent fight. I don't ever remember seeing them at a Euro though. Um,
They Ireland are not good. They are not good.
no, they're not, but they might have been good then. And then in 2021, 2022, Denmark, Scotland, Israel, not even a European country, by the way, Faroe Islands and Moldova, and they tied with Israel, but lost because they scored less goals, and had the same goal differential.
Who, Austria?
Yeah, they got behind Israel on that one. But if you put them in, God, actually, these groups are pretty even. Okay, if you put them in Germany's group, Germany, North Macedonia, Romania, Armenia, Iceland, and Liechtenstein, like
Yeah,
they get second in that group easily. So, they've had some unlucky draws. Let's keep it at that. But my point being is that, you know, these this Continental Cups are really good for football because teams that might not be able to play in the World Cup ever in their existence actually get a chance to play in a Continental Cup, which is cool. And I think these Continental Cups should mean something. Like the fact that Italy didn't get into the World Cup and they won the Euro is to me ridiculous. They should have an automatic bid to the World Cup because they won the Euro.
I agree. I agree with you.
So, these cup competitions should have bigger. How about we just get rid of the qualifiers and just use the Continental Cups as the basis for who gets in the World Cup?
I actually really like that idea. That'd be
Like, let's
very
make these
easy.
Continental competitions actually not mean something because they do mean something. There's a trophy at stake, but mean more than what they do. Like, have the
Yeah,
ramifications for all of it.
for sure. I mean, I know Copa America is a really big deal. Like when Brazil and Argentina played each other in the final last time, that shit was crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
But no, I agree with you. That would actually be really cool to have a tournament be the qualifiers instead of just groups. And you
Yeah,
take
and then, if you make the round of 16, like let's say you get 10 spots and you make the round of 16, all eight teams that make it to the quarterfinal get eight of those spots, and then, or maybe like all the semifinalists get an automatic bid and then everybody else has to play for it. And I'm not saying these people shouldn't play through the European qualifiers, they should, but like you just just keep letting them play until it's done and you have your
yeah,
teams picked. You know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah,
Just you can cut back on a lot of games by doing it.
for sure. And the World Cup qualifiers take place over like 18 months. So shit
It's
is
so ridiculous, bro.
yeah. You could have I don't know. Lots can change. Like Dimitri Payet can come and go in 18 months, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
He did. That's what I'm saying. Like you could have a guy that reaches world class form and change a season, and then all of a sudden your team's done World Cup, and then Dimitri Payet falls off the face of the earth. Anyways, I think I've said enough for today. Do you have anything
I think
else
that's
you'd like
fair.
to say?
No, I have nothing else to add.
Well, it was a pleasure. This is our longest one yet, so reward us by liking and subscribing and following us on TikTok and sharing with your friends. Anything like that. It was a pleasure, BJ. I will see you tomorrow.
Always. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. Peace.